Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I am very excited to share some work that I've been conducting with my team. I am the AI lead. My name is Swati Sharma, and I'm the AI lead, head of data science here at Brillio um, from our New York office. And I am going to be presenting our work, which is call center analytics using advanced NLP techniques. And we refer to this as the CCAI, Call Center Actionable Insights. And let me start off with giving a little bit of background of the domain. So during COVID, especially, customer service has become paramount for businesses. And they realize that engaging with the customers in an effective and efficient way can really benefit them. And it'll benefit the customers as well. So essentially, we are focusing on voice communications where a customer will call and speak to an agent. We refer to them as CSR agents. And this enables businesses to interact with the consumer, to really share their philosophy on the products, on the services, and to even offer new products and services. So it serves as a form of marketing as well. So it's a great way for the company to maintain, retain, and grow a happy and loyal customer base, as well as generate growth. So these call centers are certainly a cost to the business, but the impact of it in terms of the benefit is quite large as well. So where CCAI fits in is that it's to really make this whole process as streamlined as possible so that the communication is effective and efficient. So it's an innovative and customizable enabler for enhancing communication functionality. And CCAI relies on data and allows the data to share insights. So we're able to tap into it using advanced NLP techniques. So we're able to assess, we're able to navigate, and definitely from here we can advance. So just to give you a better idea of what CCAI is, let's compare it to the traditional process. And up till now, companies have been relying on CSR agents to document at the end of every single call certain items. So they have actually a pull down menu and the options are already populated for them. So they have to select whatever best suits the nature of the call. So as you can imagine, it's quite subjective and prone to human error. And they're only able to collect very basic metrics such as call time, what the general issue was, if they're able to capture it. Maybe there's even a log. But it's very clear that these metrics or the information that the agent provides is very surface level. And it's on a call by call basis. So it's not really useful for the business to assess the needs of what the customer is calling about or how to make it efficient. In order to do that, you really need to go below the surface level. And up till now, this has not been done. So we have proposed an NLP pipeline which dives deep into the data. And up till now, this data was not really considered valuable. But when we opened it up, there's a wealth of information. And you need to be able to tune into the frequencies of the data itself. So we have four main areas that we're looking into. The first is issue classification. What are these calls about? Do we know if we have agents covering all these areas? We're able to find even sub-issues. Secondly, the context. What exactly does the customer want to do? Let's say, for example, they have a new product. Do they want to figure out how to use it? Maybe there's some other issue, or for health insurance, they want to add, change, or cancel their plan. So the context is very important to understanding the issue, and it really directs the agent into responding appropriately. The third is call events. We monitor these calls for certain key indicators, which indicate a certain activity has occurred during the call. Most importantly, was there even a resolution? Is there an escalation? Probably the biggest red flag during one of these calls. We're also able to understand the corresponding sentiment. Is the customer getting upset? Is the customer pleased with the service? So we're able to understand all of that. And lastly, perception. We're able to determine what is the customer satisfaction. What is their idea of the service that the business is providing? Are they satisfied? Or they're going to call again? And we're also able to determine the efficiency of the call center. How well is the call center handling these calls? Are they fully equipped? So, essentially, we want to reduce the number of multiple calls. We want all calls to be resolved on the first go and not have callers calling over and over for the same issue, because it's a cost to the business. So with the aid of CCAI, we can really extract a wealth of information which will provide actionable directions. And there are many extensions to CCAI, and the heart of all of this are the AI components, the NLP pipeline. And the most obvious, of course, is root cause analysis. We're able to pinpoint what exactly the issue is, why the customer is getting upset, if there's even a resolution. And this leads to agent enrichment. Now, there's a difference between an in-house agent who is actually a company employee versus an outsourced agent. There's going to be a difference in the quality. Depending on which one you have, you may need to enhance their learning. Now that we know what the issues are, they can focus on these specific issues and really be provided with the appropriate references as well. Intelligent call routing. Perhaps we're seeing a lot of transfers in these calls, or there's a lot of hold time. So it's really indicative that we're not routing the calls in the best way possible, and we can really reset the routing system. Automation. There's a lot of room for automation with the CCAI, and we can even get into conversational AI, use these insights as a foundation for building the conversational AI. We can even build a recommender system, get our hands on additional data sets, and provide an amazing tool for the agents to have at their fingertips when they're dealing with difficult subject areas. And all of these extensions lead to enhanced customer engagement. The whole idea is to maintain, retain, and grow the customer base and keep them happy. Customers are more likely to even pay more for a product that they're happy with in terms of customer service, instead of going for a product that is maybe less costly and maybe even more easily accessible if the customer service is not very good. So it's very critical to understand these calls. And of course, all of this leads to growth for the business. So I've touched on this a little bit already, but there are 4 customizable AI components. One is the issue classification, call context, call events, and the perception, the overall perception. So these are the AI components. And I'm going to get into them to some amount of detail. There's a lot to cover, and definitely at anytime, please feel free to reach out, and I'm very happy to discuss more. But this is a quick look at the architecture in terms of components. So we have the data ingestion, we perform our data cleansing, data preprocessing, pretty traditional. And then we get into the AI components here in the yellow box. And the first two green components, that is where we perform the issue classification. And there are actually two levels of issue classification. There's the macro level and then the micro level. So all of this is fed into the open context discovery, where we're able to determine the call context. And then we use these insights to help determine the indicators series, as well as perform sentiment analysis. And then we are able to obtain the perception information, overall operation efficiency, and overall customer satisfaction. So this entire yellow box full of AI components is fed into our super user-friendly UI, our dashboard, so that it's accessible to the world to use these tools and get these insights from their call centers. So we have the data ingestion, and let me just take a step back. For the purpose of this demo, we have used a sample set, but in our pipeline, we take actual calls and transcribe them into a text format. And for this work, we have relied upon the AWS platform, but this pipeline is entirely agnostic to the platform, and it's more about the NLP methodology. So we take the text from these transcriptions and we perform data cleansing. This is probably the most critical step in the entire process. As you know, the saying, garbage in, garbage out. So we need to make sure that we're putting valuable nuggets in to get valuable nuggets out. So we perform some extensive data cleansing. We start off with our exploratory data analysis to really see the type of data that we have. And when you look at these transcripts, it is a little bit of a shock to see how messy this data is. It's extremely noisy. And we found that there were several, there's a good chunk of calls that are actually incomplete. Maybe there was some error in the transcription process. So those are removed from the set. And then there are other calls that have just general noise within the transcription, and we can salvage them. For example, when you're put on hold during one of these calls to customer service, you may think that the music is playing and nobody's hearing you. Talk to your spouse, your child, your dog is barking, whatever, but that all gets recorded. And we see that coming in the transcription. So we see secondary conversations going on. We're able to spot these secondary conversations and trim these transcripts so we can just maintain the focus of the call, and that is what is going to be valuable for us. Also, we do some feature assessment and overall just remove all abnormalities. And then we get into data preprocessing. So just like any other NLP pipeline, we get into the lemmatization, tokenization, a vectorization. We perform the part of speech tagging and the stop words. Stop words are very important, and we really made an effort to curate an extensive stop word list. Depending on the granularity you want to get into, you need to have a detailed stop word list. If you want to keep the stop word list more generalized, you will not be able to get very deep into the granularity. So then this data, this cleansed and pre-processed data, is fed into our issue classification component. Now, this is where the exciting part begins, because we have developed an advanced NLP topic modeling um, component, which we developed in-house. And this essentially uses a transformer model. And there's 3 core steps to obtain these issues. So first is to embed each transcript. Second is to cluster semantically similar transcripts. It's important that we look at the semantic similarity. The third is where the magic happens and where we actually create these topic labels. And this actually allows us to get the macro and the micro level of issues. And we're able to, essentially, it's a clustering that we perform here. And the more data that we have, as you would expect for clustering, the better you're going to get these issues classified. Otherwise, there's a lot of noise that comes up and the clusters are not formed very clearly. So it's important to have big data when you're working with this pipeline. So let me just share with you some of our results here with this issue classification component that we've developed. So we have these historical calls. As I mentioned, we've used a sample data set, and it's in the domain of health insurance. So we started off with about 160 calls. We've transcribed them, we've cleansed, and we've pre-processed. And for the purpose of running this demo and having a good size amount of data to work with, we have just randomly selected 20,000 instances from that data set. So it's been run through our issue classification model. And as you can see here on the left, you see 12 labels here, and these are the macro issues that customers are calling about. So we can see that the most popular one is health plan. Next would probably be open enrollment. The least popular seems to be HSA contribution. And on the right, we can see how each macro issue is broken down into sub-issues. So for example, health plan. Customers are either calling in regards to their dental plan or they're calling in regards to their health insurance. Now, the next step in this will actually tell us what exactly they're calling about in regards to the dental and health insurance plan. So we get into the call context, and this is also an in-house algorithm that we've developed, and this is a semi-supervised context discovery. So I say it's semi-supervised because we use the macro and micro issues that we have obtained in the previous AI component, and we use that as a loose reference to kind of indicate, the general domain that we're looking context for, and it is actually unsupervised in terms of looking for the context because we don't have any labels or source of truth for the context words. So it's an iterative process, and after some point when it reaches its optimum threshold, we're able to extract these contexts with respect to the issue and sub-issue. So we're able to see the relationship now. This is what it looks like for our data set. So on the left, we have the issues. In the middle, we have a column of labels that are the sub-issues. And on the far right, we have the context. So we're able to see the mappings between the issue and the sub-issue and the context, and we're able to see what exactly customers are calling about. And this is pretty interesting if you were to read through this data. This is something that was never before obtained, and the CCAI enables you to do that with these two NLP components. Now, the next one is for call events. So call events are actually indicators, and indicators indicate an occurrence of a specific action during the call, as well as the corresponding sentiment. So indicators could really be any sort of activity one is interested in. Based on the domain of this data, health insurance, that we've used for the purpose of this demo, we've considered some red flags. We've all been there. We all know what really bothers us when we're on these calls with customer service. Our calls not being completed, we're able to monitor that. Calls being transferred to another agent. Then you have to repeat your story again and again and again to every agent that you interact with. Has the caller been put on hold? Is the caller being directed to voicemail? Has the issue been escalated? This is the most severe red flag from the perspective of the call center, because it means that a follow-up call is bound to happen. And lastly, and really important, has the issue even been resolved? So we're able to find these pieces of information using the semantic understanding embeddings model. And essentially, we have these indicators, and we try to match the semantic relevance in the transcripts and extract that information. And not all calls will have all of these indicators. There are many calls that have been resolved and don't have any of the other red flags. And then we can also see the sentiment. How happy is the caller with the service? If they're unhappy. So here we've actually used something that's available on the AWS platform to aid us in understanding the sentiment. So just sharing the relationship between caller sentiment and the issues. So there are some issues which tend to be resulting in more of a negative experience for customers. And, this is from the perspective of a data science. So, to others, this may not be as easy to read. So I will show you a nicer way to visualize this information. But we can see on the far right, depending on the size of the bar, that the extent of how many calls are neutral, negative, positive, or mixed. Mixed meaning that they're both, that it could be negative, positive, and or neutral. So we see that a good majority are actually neutral, which are fine. But we see a good amount of calls which are negative or even mixed. And those are calls that we really want to take care of. And we're able to pinpoint which areas these are occurring in. So when we marry all of the information that we have extracted, all the latent information, we're able to get a very inclusive idea of what is going on. And this is, below the surface. So it tells a lot more than just, basic CSR matrix. And lastly, perception. This really tells the overall health, and in a very simple way in terms of customer satisfaction and operation efficiency. So in this chart, we see the list of all the macro issues, and the orange, those correspond to customer satisfaction. The blue refers to operation efficiency. And, we all know that these are actually discrete points. I've just added the lines just for you to visualize it easier. But you can see here that the operation efficiency is pretty much constant. And it seems to stay around 6. And the customer satisfaction kind of jumps around. So it's clear that certain issues are a little more challenging than others. And health plan, which is the most popular issue that customers have called for, you can see that the customer satisfaction is almost 0, which is abysmal. It's undesirable. So this needs to be fixed, and we're able to see what all the red flags are associated with these calls. But it's clear that the call center operation is not equipped to handle health plan. However, we see for the most popular issue, open enrollment, customer satisfaction is very high. It's about 9.5. So agents are able to handle this very nicely. So we need to adjust the capabilities of agents and definitely enhance in certain areas. And I just wanted to quickly share some interesting insights that we found here. So this is another relationship chart. We have the customer satisfaction score on the left and operation efficiency on the right. And they are tied together in relationship to the average call duration. Now, what this chart is showing is that there's a sweet spot of calls being between 7 to 10 minutes, where we have a good customer satisfaction and appropriate operation efficiency. So the agents are doing the job very well and they're properly equipped for these issues. But we see that the calls that run much longer in length, we have even here up to 70 minutes, those calls perform very poorly in terms of customer satisfaction. What that means is that it's ample time for multiple red flags to be made. And it's obvious that the agents are not able to resolve these calls. So we have this wonderful UI, which makes it super user friendly for anybody to see these insights. What I've shared is kind of under the hood a little bit, but this UI really gives a health check of the whole call center. So we're able to see the various indicators on top. We're able to see what are the issues. Customer satisfaction, how well the call center is operating. And then below, we're able to get into full granularity of all information that we've collected. And not only this, but it can be filtered out. So you can look at certain issues, you can look at certain indicators and see what is occurring and actually pinpoint the weak spots and take it the next step and actually work on improving it. So in summary, an NLP pipeline is a great way to retrieving untapped actionable insights. And I just shared with you how you can get into the latent levels of information. This is not information that is readily available. You need to dig in and really have the right NLP technique to extract that information. And CCAI as an NLP platform, it really supports an effective and efficient call center operation. It really provides actionable insights which can really enhance the whole operation of customer service for the business. So definitely applying NLP methodologies is clearly the way forward. It is a day and night difference between doing this work manually on a call by call basis versus applying NLP to big data. And with that, I would really like to thank you for your time and for your interest in call center analytics. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I love talking all about CCAI and all of the really interesting NLP models that we've built. So this is my email below, and any questions, please let me know. Thank you.